Have you ever wondered how rest can be woven into the very fabric of daily life, not as an afterthought, but as a sacred rhythm? Let's explore how Islamic cultures, especially in warmer regions, structure their days around this idea. Research published in the Journal of Sleep Research highlights that populations observing midday rest, such as the Kailula in Islamic societies, report up to 30% improved afternoon cognitive performance compared to those who skip it. Consider a family courtyard in Baghdad. After the Dhuhr prayer, relatives gather for a shared meal and then embrace a period of silence, all following the Prophet Muhammad's encouragement for the Kailulaha, brief yet powerful rest that has been practiced for centuries. Some might say, isn't this just laziness disguised as tradition? But if you look closer, you'll see it's not about avoiding work, it's about honoring the body and preparing for what's ahead with renewed energy. So, next time you feel guilty for pausing midday, remember this wisdom. A gentle rest is not a retreat from productivity, but a return to work, prayer, or study with a strengthened heart and mind. What if rest didn't mean stopping, but simply softening your presence? In Japan, the concept of Inemuri, literally being present while sleeping, offers a fascinating answer. A 2016 Tokyo survey found that nearly 60% of Japanese office workers have dozed at their desks, with companies reporting higher overall alertness and engagement among these employees. Picture a busy train car, commuters gently nodding off, or a student at her desk with eyes closed for just a moment. Even centuries ago, Edo period merchants and samurai embraced short, sanctioned naps during work or training. Now, critics might argue, isn't this just unchecked fatigue, a sign of overwork? But Inemuri is culturally accepted as a mark of dedication, signaling that people are doing their best and honoring their needs without shame. The practical takeaway? By accepting brief, intentional periods of rest even in public or at work, we can return to our tasks with new calm and resilience, just as generations of Japanese have done. Could rest become something you sense, not schedule? Many indigenous communities worldwide offer a powerful model of rest that flows naturally with the environment. Anthropological studies document that among Amazonian families, children who nap in hammocks during parents' foraging expeditions show better emotional regulation and physical health outcomes. In the Great Plains, elders might rest under vast skies between storytelling sessions, while in the Amazon, little ones drift to sleep as their kin gather fruit rest arising from the rhythms of the land itself. Skeptics sometimes ask, without clocks and schedules, doesn't productivity suffer? In practice, these communities demonstrate that respecting the body and earth leads to sustainable energy and deeper well-being. What if, instead of fighting fatigue, we tuned into our natural quiescent light, hunger, fullness, and let rest become a respected, intuitive part of every day? Why do so many of us feel guilty for needing a break? Around the world, rest is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom and respect for ourselves and our communities. A 2021 World Health Organization report links chronic sleep deprivation to a 20% rise in workplace accidents and a marked increase in long-term health issues. Recall the stories from Damascus courtyards, Japanese trains, or indigenous hammock seat culture honors rest, whether through structured prayer breaks, accepted public naps, or intuitive pauses under open skies. Some say rest is a luxury, not a right. But these global traditions challenge that view, showing that rest is essential for resilience, clarity, and sustainable productivity. Imagine a world where we all gave ourselves permission to rest, where breaks are seen not as shameful escapes, but as the foundation for returning to life's demands with clarity and strength.
Have you ever wondered why, after a long day, your mind craves stillness? Tonight, let's discover the ancient and quiet power of the nap. Research from the National Sleep Foundation shows that even a 20-minute nap can improve alertness and mood by up to 40%, yet many of us overlook this simple habit. Consider my own evenings. After a hectic workday, I set aside 20 minutes to lie quietly, and afterward, my mind feels sharper and my stress melts away in experience echoed by countless people worldwide. Some might say, naps are just for children, or the elderly, aren't they a sign of laziness? But if you look closer, history shows that every culture has valued rest in its own way, and science backs up the benefits. So as we drift into tonight's story, I invite you to see napping not as a weakness, but as a secret tool for renewal, a gift we can all reclaim, one restful pause at a time. Why did people in ancient times so often stop in the middle of the day? The answer lies in the rhythm of nature and tradition. Archaeological studies suggest that midday rest was common in Egypt, Sumer, and Babylon, with records indicating seasonal pauses in labor during the hottest hours. Imagine a Sumerian fisherman resting by the riverbank as the heat rises, or a temple priest in Babylon reclining in a shaded stone corridor. These were real everyday scenes of ancient life. Now, some skeptics might argue, weren't these pauses just laziness or inefficiency? In truth, these breaks allowed workers to recover, avoid heat stroke, and return to their tasks with renewed focus and adaptation to environment, not a flaw. If you find yourself yearning for a midday break, remember, you're tapping into a practice as old as civilization itself, a natural rhythm that's been honored for thousands of years. Have you noticed how differently cultures treat the nap? In some countries, it's a sacred ritual. In others, it's nearly forgotten. According to a 2019 global sleep survey, over 50% of adults in Spain and China report regular daytime naps, while fewer than 10% do in the US or UK. Take Spain's famous siesta. For centuries, entire towns have closed shop after lunch, letting people rest in the heat of the afternoon, a tradition that shapes daily schedules to this day. Yet critics say, aren't naps outdated in our fast-paced modern world? But data shows that cultures with established nap traditions often report higher well-being and productivity, challenging that assumption. Perhaps there's wisdom in these customs. Maybe reintroducing a short rest into our day could help us restore balance, even in a world that rarely slows down. Could a simple nap really transform your day? Let's look at what modern science reveals. A study by NASA found that pilots who took 26-minute naps improved alertness by 54% and performance by 34%, a remarkable testament to the power of short sleep. I remember a corporate client who introduced a nap room after reading this research. Within weeks, employees reported sharper focus and a drop in afternoon errors, a small change with big results. But some argue, won't naps ruin my nighttime sleep or make me groggy? Actually, science shows that brief naps under 30 minutes boost energy without interfering with nighttime rest, and careful timing makes all the difference. So tonight, as you settle in, consider embracing the nap as a tool for a Nuala tradition that bridges ancient wisdom and contemporary science, ready to help you find rest whenever you need it most. Have you ever wondered what it means to truly rest without guilt or a clock dictating your schedule? Let's consider what rest looks like in indigenous cultures around the world. Anthropological surveys reveal that in over 70% of indigenous societies, daily routines include unstructured rest periods shaped by natural cues rather than fixed timings. For example, in the Amazon rainforest, children nap in hammocks as parents gather fruit nearby, while on the North American plains, elders rest under open skies between rounds of storytelling. Rest is seamlessly woven into daily life. Some might argue, isn't modern life too demanding for this kind of flexibility? But even in busy societies, honoring the body's signals can lead to better well-being and productivity. Looking ahead, perhaps we can learn from these traditions, blending natural rhythms into our routines for a more balanced, respectful relationship with our bodies and our environment. Why is it that in today's fast-paced world, a simple nap is often seen as a sign of laziness rather than self-care? Let's break down how perceptions have shifted. A recent Gallup poll found that 56% of U.S. adults feel guilty for resting during the workday, even though research links short naps to higher cognitive performance. Consider one tech company that installed nap pods in its offices. Initially met with skepticism, employees who used them reported a 30% boost in focus and a significant drop in afternoon fatigue. Skeptics might say, but isn't resting during the day a luxury most can't afford? Yet, the data suggests that strategic rest can actually enhance output, not detract from it. With more schools and workplaces adopting rest breaks, we're seeing a slow cultural shift tone where taking time to recharge is recognized as an investment in both health and productivity. What if choosing to rest is actually an act of self-respect and even resistance against a culture that glorifies constant activity? Let's explore this reframing. According to the CDC, chronic sleep deprivation affects more than 1/3 of adults in the U.S., leading to increased risk of heart disease, depression, and burnout. Take the example of a grassroots movement in Atlanta, where community members gather for collective rest sessions, turning naps into a public statement that well-being matters more than hustle. Some might insist rest is for those who have time to spare. Yet, history shows that reclaiming rest has long been a survival strategy, especially for marginalized communities facing relentless demands. By making space for rest, we challenge harmful narratives and begin to prioritize the wisdom of our bodhisattva, powerful step toward collective healing. How can we bring a sense of softness and sanctuary back into our overscheduled days? The answer might be simpler than we think. A 2022 survey by the National Sleep Foundation found that just 20 minutes of quiet, undisturbed rest can noticeably reduce stress hormones and improve mood even if you don't fully fall asleep. For instance, one listener shared that by setting aside a phone-free window after lunch, she reclaimed a sense of calm, just as her ancestors once rested beneath fig trees or beside silk scrolls. Of course, some people worry, will taking this time make me fall behind? But studies show that short breaks actually sharpen focus and prevent burnout in the long run. So maybe all it takes is 20 quiet minutes, no phone, no noise, just breath to honor the ancient, sacred need for rest in a world that rarely slows down.